What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to another episode of Legends in Football Manager 2019. Today, as you can see on your screen, we have Peter Schmeichel. Of course, this is part 2. If you missed part 1 of Peter's career, go check it out. Today, I'm not sure how far forward we're going to go. We'll see how we get on. To start with, since the end of last episode, I have gone forward 4 years. And the reason for doing that is so that we are after the next World Cup, the 2026 World Cup. Since the last time we were here, you can see Peter Schmeichel's wages have gone up to £300,000. That actually hurts to look at, doesn't it? And, well, it'd be fair to say he's become the main man here at Bayern. You can see over the last 3 years, he has not missed a game. And when you look at his average ratings and his clean sheets and his player of the matches, he's actually been kind of oddly consistent thus far, hasn't he? Really has not missed a lot of football at all. I mean, you can see here in the last 6 years, he's missed 3 league games. And his average ratings in that time are pretty darn impressive. And, well, you'd hope they'd be impressive. But for a goalkeeper and Football Manager, I feel like average ratings are always a little bit tricky, aren't they? They're always, I don't know, I feel like you can't necessarily guarantee yourself that you're going to have good average ratings as a goalkeeper no matter how good you are, just because in Football Manager, if you concede one, it can be pretty harsh on you. But yes, he's done very, very well. Of course, still at Bayern 3 years on, or 4 years on. You can see major interest from Wolverhampton Wanderers. I was curious about this when I saw it, because I was wondering who's interested in him. As you can see here, Wolverhampton Wanderers finished 7th. They've got a pretty interesting team. But what really caught my eye was, if we look at their landmarks, they got bought by a tycoon who has then since scaled down his funding. Now, if their kind of chairman has scaled down his funding, I'm not sure how they're ever going to be able to afford Schmeichel's wages. But who knows? Maybe he will make the move to Wolverhampton Wanderers to replace Rui Patricio, who I believe is still playing for them. Of course, he's done well, has Schmeichel, in terms of just appearances. But how have things gone for Bayern Munich in the league? Let's have a look. If we click on the Bundesliga here, you can see Leverkusen are being a real thorn in their side. You can see this year Bayern won it fairly comfortably. In terms of the the league, we can have a quick look at it here. You can see they only conceded 35 goals in 34 games, which actually doesn't seem that low, but relative to all the other teams, that is fairly low. They lost 4 games all year, but the previous 2 years they lost out to Leverkusen. You can see this year Leverkusen winning the league by 1 point. And the year before that, Leverkusen winning the league by 2 points. That, despite the fact that Bayern here, you can see, only conceded 34 goals and 33 goals respectively. So Schmeichel's been putting in some pretty good defensive displays. It's just not quite been enough for them. They've not been able to get over the line. However, in recent years, Bayern have found some more success. You can see if we just click on Bayern here, that he is considered their key player is Schmeichel. And, well, if we look at the career milestones, you can see here, they've had some success, but not a whole lot. None in Europe. So if we just have a look here through Bayern's scheduling, obviously over the last couple of years, you can see, obviously, the last time we were here, they lost in the Europa League final, you might remember, to Arsenal 1-0. So since then, how have they got on? They've not been that successful in the DFB Pokal either, but really, I feel like Champions League football is what fans would be caring about. So you can see here, they lost to Juventus again. They lost to Juventus a couple of years ago in the Champions League. The next year, how did they get on? They got through the first knockout round, the quarterfinals. I think they got through on away goals, but in the semi-final, they were beaten 1-0 over 2 legs by Manchester United. You can see in these games, of course, Peter Schmeichel, against his former club, didn't actually play that badly. I mean, they lost both games 1-0. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But yeah, disappointing they couldn't go that one step further to the final. And in the most recent year, they lost in the quarterfinal, this time to Liverpool. And, well, current season, how did they get on in the Champions League? If we just look here, they didn't even make it out of their group, Group D. That is pretty disastrous. Who did they fail against in the group stage to get into the Europa League? Wow, Milan and Sociedad. I mean, that's pretty shocking, considering how well they've been going in the league, for them to fail that badly. How did they get on in the Europa League? They lost in the semi-final to Real Madrid. I mean, Real Madrid v Bayern Munich in the semi-final of the Europa League is a little mad as an idea, but unfortunately for Peter Schmeichel, it has, well, it's hurt him, hasn't it? If we look here, I didn't actually check how many international caps he has. He has 76. If we look at milestones, these are all the awards and stuff that he's won. So in terms of goalkeeper of the season in the Champions League, he's not actually won it once. Edison and Alisson Becker winning it a number of times, as you see there, I have seen there, and also a Regen appearing, I noticed, because we are getting towards that kind of era. In terms of awards in general, I can't see any kind of super standout ones. It's probably easier actually to look at the biography here for kind of individual awards. No, not a whole lot. How about in the World Cup? Did Denmark make it to a World Cup? I mean, that would be somewhat of an achievement in itself. Let's have a look here. So actually, World Cup Group J, they made it through with wins against Venezuela and Senegal. Peter Schmeichel getting a 7.4 in that win against Senegal. Against Portugal, however, they lost 1-0, so they went straight out there. They were in the UEFA Nations League Group A with Holland and England, but they lost all those games, so they've dropped back down. In the Europa League, you can see here they lost to Russia in semi-finals. So that's actually not that bad at all to reach the semi-finals. Perhaps disappointing to concede a last-minute goal to Russia. Prior to that, obviously we saw in 2021-22 they didn't make it to the World Cup. But how about the Euros before that? We didn't actually check that previously. You can see here actually they lost to France. Looks like they've been yo-yoing between the UEFA Nations League A and League B. If we just look at the overview for Denmark here, you can see they're down in 15th in the world rankings. They've been as low as 25th in the last, well, I don't know what the scale of this timeline is, because June should be on this side, I feel like. But yeah, they've tailed off just a little bit considering how high they were once upon a time. You can see here, in terms of kind of top players, oddly enough, for some reason Peter Schmeichel isn't shown here, even though he is the key player and the vice-captain. They've still got Eriksson playing for them, but he's 35 now, so he's going to be kind of slowing down just a little bit. They've got a few other players here, but not actually regens, which is interesting. That could signal bad things if this golden generation is going to expire. Maybe just one more World Cup for Schmeichel to have a real go at it. At the age of 26 now, he's probably got 2 more World Cups in him, but if the golden generation of Danish players is fading out, there might be a window of opportunity which is closing in front of our very eyes. Anyway, guys, I think we'll go forward another 4 years to the next World Cup year, kind of when that's wrapped up. We'll see if he's still at Bayern. Given how well he's playing, given the fact that Wolverhampton Wanderers is the only team interested, and with his crazy wages, there's just so few teams he could go to, and he's still got 3 years left on his contract. I don't know if he's actually going to go anywhere. We'll go forward. We'll find out. I will say his attributes are just nutty now. I think he's probably maxed out as good as he's going to get. He's entering his prime now at 26. It's going to be a case now of how long can he keep it going. Anyway, let's go forward. 2031. What is the future looking like for Peter Schmeichel? Okay guys, the year is 2031 and I thought the best place to start here would be with the World Cup with Denmark to see how they got on. I wasn't sure what to expect. They reached the semi-final. They knocked out Germany. They knocked out Holland. I mean, that's pretty good going. And looking at it, Peter Schmeichel was playing in all of these. You can see in the penalty shootout, only 2 penalties missed, but I'm going to claim that Peter Schmeichel was somehow responsible for the win over Holland. Against Germany, he got a 7.0, of course, playing in Germany for most of his career so far. Unfortunately, couldn't put in one last performance against Brazil, who scored, to be fair, in the 84th minute of the semi-final at the Bernabeu in Spain to get that World Cup win. And then in the third place playoff, no heroics from Schmeichel in, well, extra time in the penalty shootout. However, 7.5 rating. He was one of the best performing players in the Danish team. So that's pretty good. And if we just look here at the Europa League, they lost in the semi-final against Italy here. So, a tad bit disappointing. Jens Odegaard, I've noticed, is the kind of standout player. He looks very, very good. One of the Lyngby players. Lyngby, I noticed, have a lot of homegrown players of real talent. Yeah, he looks pretty solid, and he's been getting a lot of the goals for them. But I'm looking at all of this. There's one important thing that I've not really considered. That is, where is Schmeichel? So let's have a look at him. Well, he's still at Bayern. You can see here, 123 caps. Could he get to 150? It seems pretty plausible. He's 30 years old. He's going to be 31 this coming year. He's listed still as a world-class goalkeeper. His new contract, which has 4 years still on it, £400,000. No one is going to be buying him. I'm going to say it now. I don't think he's leaving Bayern, and I think we might wrap up the video today just in one sitting to see how he gets on. That is absolutely crazy. In the last 4 years, he has missed, what, 9 matches? And they were in the last 2 seasons. You can see he got a 7.24 in 27-28, a 7.18, a 7.35. That is crazy. And, well, the most recent season, he actually had a few more injuries, so didn't do quite so well. which is a little bit of a shame. If we look at injuries, I guess it was injuries here that played a role. Yeah, you can see here, fractured his upper arm this year, and the year before that, he had a few minor injuries with a fractured finger and wrist ligament injury, so that probably kept him out a little bit. There's lots of little injuries, and then most recently just one big injury, but despite that period of football out because of the injuries, he still looks absolutely tremendous, doesn't he? You can see here, looking at his career milestones, has he won anything major? It does not look like he is winning, well, has won yet a Champions League or even, you know, a major European honour, which is somewhat of a shock. You can see here, he is captain of the club now. In 2031, we are entering the realm of the regens. It would be fair to say, you know, it's getting to the point now where it's all fake players surrounding him. But despite that, let's see how Bayern have been getting on. So this year, how did they do in the Champions League? They lost in the quarterfinals to Chelsea. The year before that, they lost in the first knockout round, 7-1 on aggregate to Chelsea. My word, what are Chelsea eating for breakfast? The year before that, they lost in the first knockout round to Barcelona. I mean, it's fair to say they've not had the easiest draws here. And then the year before that, they lost to Monaco. So, just not doing very well. Obviously, Europa League, that semi-final defeat to Real Madrid and the final defeat against Arsenal, the closest that he has come to winning anything there. One thing I've not checked thus far, which we should definitely take a look at, is if we go to the World Overview page, we should have a look at the World Best 11 to see if Schmeichel is appearing as the goalkeeper. I'd be surprised if he wasn't, to be honest, but we'll take a look. You can see here, Ballon d'Or, Michael Owen. Our regen is Owen Mitchell, Jack. Michael Owen is definitely his name. He's trained in Belgium twice. That's how good he is. He looks scarily good, doesn't he? Michael Owen. It looks like Michael Owen at a glance, okay? So, FIFA Men's Best Goalkeeper, you can see here, he's not actually won this honour, which is a little bit of a shock. You can see here, Neuer finished runner-up. In the last couple of years, has he got close? Donnarumma's won it a couple of times. Lafont, Courtois. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that he's not been a real competitor up here. But he's just not doing it, is he? Which is somewhat of a shock. In terms of Ballon d'Or winners, we've already checked that. FIFA Men's Best Player. It's a similar set of players, really, isn't it? Cristiano Ronaldo, Philip Coutinho, rather. The only combo breaker, along with Wanderley, which is the best regen name I've ever seen. The only two players able to stop Kylian Mbappe's dominance. If we just look here at the Team of the Year, which is what I'm kind of interested in the most, has he appeared in it at all? All years, Donnarumma is the best goalkeeper. It looks like it's been him a lot of the time. Becker for Liverpool as well. I am somewhat surprised that he hasn't appeared. Or has Alisson Becker retired yet? He has. He retired at 37. He stuck it out at Liverpool for his whole career, which is somewhat surprising. If we look at the top players here, is he even listed here? Doesn't look like he is. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit surprised. I'm actually wondering, has the Bundesliga fallen in reputation and I've not noticed it in Europe? Because that's one of the only factors I think would really play a big role in him not appearing anywhere. Third biggest league, but it was fourth in the ranking, so maybe that explains it a little bit. Obviously, we didn't check the league run. You can see here, Bayern have won the league for the last 4 years, so he is still getting consistent success. To be fair to Casper, oh, I keep saying Casper, Peter Schmeichel. If I've said Casper in this episode or a previous one, I apologise. It's not, well, I'm not really that used to saying Peter Schmeichel's name in modern football, but he's done pretty well. If we just look at his biography here, has he won anything major? He's got German Players Player of the Year runner-up on 2 occasions, which is pretty good for a goalkeeper. But besides that, you know, lots of domestic success at Bayern. But come on, that's what you expect. You want him to be winning big stuff in Europe, really, don't you? But, well, that just hasn't been the case thus far. Anyway, let's go forward 4 more years. We'll go to another World Cup. We'll see how Peter's career is shaping up, and then we'll probably go forward just to see how much longer it goes on after the 4 years. So yeah, don't go anywhere. We'll be back. And, well, leave a prediction now. How do you think Denmark are going to get on at the next World Cup? We're about to find out. So, folks, we have gone forward 4 more years. I feel like a broken record. He's on £475,000 now. They just keep upping his wages, which is absolutely mental. I mean, he looks like he's getting better and better, which is kind of hard to believe. But at 34 years old, he has 164 caps for Denmark. I feel like we'll start with the national team. Is he still playing for them? That's the first question. He is still playing for it. He just doesn't want to retire, does he? It's not really fair on a whole generation of goalkeepers. The next question, how did they go on at the World Cup? They lost after extra time to Portugal. And looking at it, they conceded 2 goals in extra time. Schmeichel on a 6.3. Not great. Not great. You can see he did well in the previous round against Belgium. He got a 7.1 there, one of the better performances. And against, well, you can see here, all the other teams prior to the Portugal game, he kept clean sheets. So you can't really knock him too much. But at the same time, I thought he might do a little bit better. We'll just have a quick look. How did they get on in the Euros? They didn't make it out their group and they lost every single game. Although I will say now, a group of Germany, Italy and the Netherlands is one of the biggest group of deaths I've ever seen. So I feel a little sorry for the Danish national team, the fact that they got that draw. So that's the formalities of the international duty. 164 caps, that's crazy. Right, how has he got on for Bayern? I'm scrolling through here and still, it doesn't look like he's won a whole lot outside of stuff in Germany. Let's have a look at the Bundesliga and who's been top dog here. So you can see actually Dortmund won it 2 years ago, but since then Bayern have reinstated their dominance. They lost only 2 games this year against Dortmund and Frankfurt. If we just look here at the league table real quick. And we'll have a look at it in detail for the last two years. I wonder if they got close to an unbeaten year. They've lost 2 league games the last 2 years. The year before that, they actually finished 4th, but because of the coefficients rising, even though they finished 4th, unlike last time, but they finished 4th, they actually won a spot in the Champions League. And the year before that, they won the league as well. So it feels like every so often, Bayern are just having a season where they don't quite perform here right now, isn't it? Let's have a look at their schedule. How have they got on in the Champions Leagues? So they lost in the quarterfinal against Chelsea after they won 2-0 at home. They then capitulated and lost 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. That is not great, is it? They lost to Chelsea again. How many times are they going to lose to Chelsea? The next year, who did they lose to? They got to the Europa League and they lost to Augsburg in the Europa. That is pretty shocking, isn't it? That was the year where they really struggled, to be fair to them. The year after that, Champions League, they got knocked out in the quarterfinal by, you've guessed it, it was Chelsea again. And they also lost it in the DFB Pokal semi-final to Dusseldorf. That would be pretty bad. I'm curious actually to have a look at Bayern's manager turnover here. And you can see actually this year, perhaps the last chance that he'll get to do it all. They lost to Barcelona and he got a 6.2 in that game. That is pretty nightmarish, isn't it? But they did win the final here, you can see, on penalties. 7.3 rating for Schmeichel there, so he did some work. I'm curious now. Bayern history, managers. How many managers have they gone through? My word. Okay, this is a hit list and a half. So they've got Niko Kovac, Allegri, Klopp, Zidane, Ancelotti, Marcelinho, Unai Emery, and then now with Thomas Thomasberg. I mean, is he a real person? Because that's a funny name, Thomas Thomasberg. It's a Danish manager. I mean, I've never heard of this guy. I feel like I should have heard of him. And he's going to have some real kind of significance here. Where does he start? Okay, he starts at Randers, so now I don't feel quite so bad. But he's worked his way up through the Danish leagues. He's gone to Schalke, and now he's done fairly well, to be fair, in his first season at Bayern. Disappointing they couldn't win the Champions League, but he's partnered up with Peter, and they're making magical things happen. You can see the consistency of them is pretty darn impressive. And well, when you look at the average ratings of Schmeichel as well, it's pretty impressive. In the last 4 years, he's missed 1 game. And his average ratings have been superb. The last 2 years, 2 of his best seasons ever, 7.45. With 17 clean sheets. Half the matches are keeping clean sheets. This year, 15 as well. He's doing pretty blooming well. But I fear that his time is over and that there isn't another World Cup to try and win. So, he is a goalkeeper, so he could keep going. I'm going to go forward another 4 years or until he retires. With these, I just leave the game going into the distant future, then load up the save game at various points without checking it beforehand. I have no idea where he's going to be next, how old he's going to be. It might be the end. He might be still going. Let's find out. Okay, guys, we are back. Peter Schmeichel is retiring at the end of the season, right? I've got it. The year's 2039, by the way, so he's continued going again, and we have got another World Cup to cover, which I'm kind of surprised about. He's retiring at the end of the year, but he's on international duty with Denmark. So literally, he's going to retire from international football at the same time he retires from his professional career, which is madness. You can see the world rankings, they're right down in 20th now. Let's have a quick look at their schedule. How did they get on at the World Cup? They got knocked out in the group stage by China and the US. I mean, that is a bad way to end the last World Cup. The less said about that, perhaps the better. In the Europa League, or not the Europa League, the Euro Cup, they lost to Serbia in the quarterfinals. So, not that I'm entirely surprised, but the closest was to be fair, the semi-final of the World Cup is still pretty impressive for Denmark across the career. But I don't know. I feel like there was potential to go that little bit further, maybe. But you can see here, Peter Schmeichel, he's retiring at the end of this month, but he's still playing with them on international duty, which is just madness to me. He's just going to play one friendly against Peru and then call it a day, I think. Although, actually... Oh, no, he's just finished international duty, actually. So his last ever game of his career was going to be this game against Hungary, where they won 3-0, which is pretty impressive. I wonder if he got a testimonial at Bayern. You can see here, the last few years, he's only missed 4 games even this year, although it's been his worst season ever. That does not look promising, the fact that he did that badly. How did Bayern get on this year in the Bundesliga? Let's check this real quick. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Cologne. That is a weird team to win the Bundesliga championship. I'm curious now. The first thing I do when an unusual team wins is I check to see if they got brought out by a tycoon, but they didn't. Fair play to Cologne then. They've done it of their own accord. But yes, you can see here, unfortunately, the last season that he's going to spend at Bayern, they could not win the title. But besides that, the previous 3 years, they did win it again. So, I mean, not entirely surprising. If we just look here at the schedule and we go back to, well, the year 2035, of course, they lost the final there. So how did they get on? Did he have a chance to win it all? So quarter-final, they lost to Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea really is Peter Schmeichel's Achilles heel, is what we're learning here. They then lost to Manchester United in 37. And then in the most recent year, they won! They did it! Did he play in the final? I don't know if we can actually load this up. We can. He did. He got a 7.4 as well. Fair play, Peter. They knocked out Liverpool at the Johan Cruyff Arena. Arcas on the other team got a 4.9 in the Champions League final. Is he Karius in disguise? I mean, he's 23 years old, bless him, so he was very young going into this game, and it's going to be one that he perhaps never lives down. But yes, Peter Schmeichel won a Champions League. It took him to the age of 38. That's probably why he's retiring. He's just having a big party for his last year. You can see they lost the Pokal final. And how did they get on this year? They got to the semi-finals and lost to PSG. But he did win one Champions League, folks, and that's what really matters, I feel like, at this point. Interestingly, when you look at the senior team, he's not showing there anymore. If we view all players, does he appear? He does. I guess they've demoted him. I just noticed there is a Puerto Rican player I noticed here. I want to check. Sorry to go off topic. There is a Puerto Rico 14-year-old playing for Bayern Munich. Answers on a postcard. I don't understand. Right, I don't know why that caught my eye of everything here. You can see a few Danish players playing for Bayern Munich. But yes, Peter Schmeichel, 206 appearances for his country. 640 club appearances in the league alone. So probably played way over 1,000 games across all competitions. If we look here at his, I guess we'll look at milestones and then biography. Obviously, you can pause and have a proper read through of this. You can see he was named Danish Media Player of the Year on 5 occasions. FIFA Men's Best Goalkeeper. So he did win Best Goalkeeper. When did he win it? 2035. So he was 35 years old when he won that. Which is kind of interesting, the fact that he did actually peak towards the end here, it seems like, as he kind of did in real life, you'd have to say. I say at the end, obviously he went on to play for a few clubs after Manchester United, but in terms of kind of late 20s, early 30s being really where he found his stride, you can see he won the Club World Cup, the Champions League once, the UEFA Super Cup once, and then a whole plethora of domestic competitions. And such you can see here. He was named the runner-up on 2 occasions of the Champions League kind of best goalkeeper, but never won it from the look of it. Did he win German Footballer of the Year? He did. Fair play to him. That's really impressive for a goalkeeper to do that in Football Manager. Football Manager goalkeepers are criminally kind of rated harshly, and he did very, very well there. I'm kind of surprised with just how well he has done, to be honest. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap up this video here. If there's anything I didn't spot across the 2 videos, please do let me know. Normally with my Legends in Football Manager, I do them over 3 or 4 parts, but because I'm away for Christmas, I'm having to record a load of videos in advance, I had to do things slightly differently today. I do hope you enjoyed it regardless. I feel like the shorter videos are probably a little bit better, but if you did get to the end of this one, let me know that you did get to the end of it down in the comments. Anyway, that is all from me today. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.